Before we built cities, before we spoke a single word, before we even knew what it meant to be human, something stirred on the plains of Africa. It did not begin with fire or tools. It began with a step. A small, fragile creature stood upright, and the future changed forever. Before us, before civilizations, before written language, before even fire, there was a time when creatures roamed the earth that would one day become us. But they were not human. Not yet. This was a world untouched by man, a world of raw survival, a world ruled by instinct and evolution. The year was not 2025 or 2000. It was 6.4 million years ago. In this story, we go back in time, not to pyramids or ancient Rome, but to the threshold of humanity itself. Here, on the plains of Eastern Africa, something was stirring in the gene pool. A split was forming between our ancestors and the apes. It was a slow, nearly imperceptible shift, but it would change the fate of the world. This is the story of Sahel, a young female primate who lived on the edge of extinction and on the edge of becoming something new. Her species, still more ape than human, walked a fine line between what was and what could be. Her world was wild, dangerous, beautiful, and through her eyes we will witness the struggles, instincts, and choices that shaped the dawn of humanity. The African landscape was different then. Thick forests stretched into savannas dotted with tall grasses. Rivers wound through the valleys like silver veins. Volcanoes loomed in the distance, silent and ancient. Animals ruled this land. Gigantic saber-toothed cats prowled the shadows. Herds of ancient antelope thundered across the plains. Crocodiles the size of small cars patrolled the riverbanks. Sahel's world was full of sounds, chirps, howls, growls, and rustling leaves. Every sound meant something: danger, food, shelter, or family. Sahel belonged to a small group of hominins, early ancestors of humans. They were not yet people. They had no words, no tools, no fire, but they had each other, and they had something else, something new. They sometimes stood on two legs. Not always, but sometimes, especially when danger was near or food was far away. Every morning started the same, with survival. Before the sun rose fully, the group would already be on the move. Food did not wait. Danger did not sleep. Sahel was small, no more than 3.5 feet tall. Her fur was light brown, and her eyes were always watching. She had a child, barely a year old, who clung to her chest as she moved through the underbrush. She searched for figs and wild berries. She listened for the drumming of hooves or the warning calls of birds. One wrong step could mean death. Her group was not large. Maybe 8 adults and 3 children. They communicated with grunts and gestures. They moved together like a school of fish, always aware of one another. Trust was their currency. Protection was their bond. On one hot day, while foraging, they stumbled into the path of a large leopard. It happened fast. A scream, a blur of fur and blood. One of the males was taken. Sahel was not aware of evolution. She did not know that her bones were different from the chimps, or that her pelvis had begun to tilt in a way that allowed upright walking. But she felt the difference. She could see further when she stood up. She could reach higher branches. She could carry her child and still move fast on 2 legs if needed. One day, during a dry season, her group had to travel far from their forest home to find water. The ground was hard and hot. Trees were few, and this is where their ability to walk became everything. As they walked upright across the plains, they could carry food in their arms, they could watch for predators above the grass, and they could move in groups more effectively. Sahel lived a short life by modern standards, maybe 30 years, but each year was full of meaning. In one season, she lost her child to a python that slid silently into their sleeping place. She carried the lifeless body for 3 days before she let it go. In another, she found a mate who stayed with her through many migrations. He protected her, groomed her, even shared his food, a rare gesture in that world. These were not human emotions, not in the way we feel them, but they were the beginning of bonding, the start of loyalty, the foundation of empathy. Sahel was learning, her species was learning, how to care, how to trust, how to fear less and think more. Even as predators lurked and droughts came, something deeper was evolving inside them. One fateful day, Sahel's group was caught in a wildfire. Dry lightning struck a tree during the dry season. Flames swept across the plains faster than feet could run. Panic spread through the group. Screeches echoed, babies cried, the scent of burning wood filled the air. Sahel grabbed her youngest and fled. She ran on 2 legs. She dodged falling branches. Smoke stung her eyes. But she was not fast enough. As the fire closed in, she did something no other creature had done before. She passed her child to another female, younger, faster, and turned to distract a predator that had come from the flames. Sahel's body was never found, but her bones, or bones of those like her, would one day be dug from the soil by curious hands millions of years later. Scientists would name her kind Sahelanthropus chadensis. They would marvel at the shape of her skull, the angle of her spine, the hints of upright movement. They would argue whether she was human or not, but they would agree on one thing: she was on the path. Every person walking the earth today carries the echo of Sahel, in our stride, in our families, in our instinct to protect, nurture, and wonder. Life 6.4 million years ago was harsh and beautiful. It was the cradle of everything, the time before time, the spark before the flame. In Sahel's world, there were no names, no borders, no politics or wars, only survival, and through survival, transformation. We owe our existence not to kings or conquerors, but to creatures like her, small, fragile, but relentless. They did not know what they were becoming, but they moved forward anyway. Step by painful step, they walked into history. Before we were human, we were almost.